Let's take a look at fantasy baseball. Top 10 must drops coming up next on Beat the Odds. Don't go anywhere. Hello, sports fans. Welcome back to another episode of Beat the Odds. We're going to take a look at the top 10 drops that you can safely drop from your fantasy baseball squad. If you like this type of content, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and of course, hit that notification bell so that way you'll be notified whenever we drop an episode. Now, we do have a contest in the works here for our 1,000 subscriber giveaway. Find the episode on our YouTube channel and make sure to leave a comment in that episode. Alright, the way that this series works is we want to take a look at all players that are owned in 60% of leagues or more, and then determine, of course, if they are deserving to be on a roster on a fantasy baseball squad, or if you should be able to drop them. Let's start off at number 10. We have Alec Manoa, 45 innings pitched so far this year, 1 win, 35 strikeouts, 5.4 ERA, 1.8 whip. Fastball velo is down 1 mile an hour to 92.8. Slider is mostly ineffective. The whiff rate's down to 6.5. Walk rate's up to 15% from 6.5 last year. The expected ERA is 7.05. To say that Manoa is struggling is really an understatement. He's still only 25 though, so the hope is that he snaps out of his funk and starts posting quality starts like he has over the last couple of seasons. Going to number 9, we have Taylor Ward, 75% owned, 156 at-bats, 26 runs, 4 homers, 16 runs batted in, 1 stolen base, 244 average. We were kind of teased with Taylor Ward's start to the start of the year last year, but he hasn't really shown up much to start the season here this season. He's really only as good as the position that he bats in the lineup. If he's hitting ahead of Trout and Ohtani, then he's worth picking up. But if he happens to slide from that position here, you can absolutely safely drop him. Coming up next at number 8, we have Jake Cronenworth, 80% owned, 143 at-bats so far this season, 17 runs, 3 homers, 14 runs batted in, 2 stolen bases, 210 average. He has a 324 on-base percentage, and that really is his only saving grace. And also, kind of like Taylor Ward, Jake Cronenworth benefits from hitting in a beneficial spot in the lineup. He's up in the top third. Sometimes he's batting 5th or 6th. That usually allows him to rack up enough counting stats to be worthy of a roster spot. But the way that he is hitting right now, the StatCast really does not like Jake Cronenworth at the moment here. It's really difficult to imagine he's going to stick in the top of the lineup if he is bottom third in average exit velocity, hard hit percentage, expected batting average, and barrel percentage. So he has to really pick it up in order to earn his spot in that lineup. At number 7, we're going to Houston. Jose Abreu, 74% owned, 157 at-bats, 10 runs, no homers, 16 runs batted in, no stolen bases, 223 average. In the preseason, he was considered a really good draft target. But since the season has started, Abreu has provided next to no offense to this point. No homers and 157 at-bats. That doesn't play as a first baseman. And on top of that, he plays his home games at right-hand hitter-friendly Minute Maid Park with that short porch there. You'd figure he'd have a couple on the board to this point, but that's just simply not the case. StatCast says he's missing barrels. He's only at 18% percentile for that, and his walk rate is down, his K rate is up. He's just going the wrong way really fast right now to start the year. Let's go to number 6. Gunnar Henderson, 74% owned, 111 at-bats so far this year, 22 runs, 4 homers, 8 runs batted in, 1 stolen base, 180 average. Bit of an interesting case on this one here. His average exit velocities and hard hit percentage and barrel percentages are pretty respectable. He's in the top 2% in taking walks. His strikeouts, however, in a third of his at-bats, and that's really his Achilles heel. 80% sprint speed, 1 stolen base. So there's a lot of, contrasting things with regards to Gunnar Henderson. He's only 21, but I think at this season here, he hasn't really tapped into his talents. I might wait a couple years before feeling comfortable rostering him on my lineup. At number 5, we're going to take a look at Alejandro Kirk, 67% owned, 92 at-bats so far this season, 9 runs, 2 homers, 11 runs batted in, no stolen bases, 217 average. He's got a fantastic eye. 18 walks, 15 strikeouts so far this season. But what's killing him is his launch angle is 1.5%. It's suggesting that he's pounding the ball into the ground, which is exactly what he's doing. And on top of that, being bottom 2% sprint speed translates to easy outs. He can't be trusted at DH right now, so he is now basically just sharing at bats with Danny Jansen here at the catcher spot on Toronto's squad. Let's go to number 4, Brandon Lau, 80% owned in leagues, 122 at-bats this season so far, 22 runs, 7 homers, 22 runs batted in, 1 stolen base, 189 average. Started off the year absolutely on fire, but he has completely flipped the switch in May. He's only 3 for 36 with no homers. He's sitting already versus left-handed pitchers, but if he continues this trend, he may lose more time. Taylor Walls is nipping at his heels to get more playing time here. So if Brandon Lau is basically kind of on a hot seat right now, really has to show some more competency at the plate in order to be able to stay on rosters at this point. Let's go to number 3, Jeff McNeil, 80% owned, 152 at-bats, 15 runs, 2 homers, 14 runs batted in, 2 stolen bases, 270 average. He's known as a contact specialist. He's a much better real-life player, of course, than he is in fantasy. 14 percentile in average exit velocity, 12 percentile in barrel. That basically kind of sums up what you're looking at getting with Jeff McNeil. Doesn't steal bags, doesn't hit many home runs. He has very little fantasy use. He's kind of like a Luis Arraez light, and really we don't need somebody like that on a baseball squad. Moving on to number 2, we're going to take a look at Clay Holmes, 80% owned, 15.1 innings pitched so far this season, 1 win, 4 saves, 21 strikeouts, 4.11 ERA, 150 whip. He hasn't really locked down the closer role since supplanting Chapman last year. He's been hit around to start the year, and he hasn't really locked down the closer role since supplanting Aroldis Chapman around the trade deadline there last year. He's kind of made it an open door in New York for saves. There's a bunch of other relievers that are starting to poach saves off of Clay Holmes. I don't even think Clay Holmes is really being looked at as a 9th inning guy at the moment. Honestly, I would rather go for Yenye Cano or Jose Alvarado once he returns from the IL over Holmes for the rest of this season. And last but not least, at number 1, we're going to take a look at Grayson Rodriguez, 63% owned, 37 innings pitched here for the season, 2 wins, 44 strikeouts, 6.57 ERA, 1.73 whip. The K potential was evident in the minors, and it is showing in the majors. He does have electric stuff, but 47 hits and 17 walks in 37 innings just doesn't play. When he gets hit absolutely hard, and playing in Baltimore hasn't really helped him out. Even with the new ballpark dimensions that should benefit pitchers, it hasn't really translated here for Grayson Rodriguez. He should be a decent starter down the road, but at the moment he's not really roster worthy on anyone's roster right now. So that's going to do it here for this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it here. If you did, please leave a like on the video, and of course subscribe to the channel so that way you don't miss another episode. We are going to sign off from this one, but we're going to catch you guys on our next episode.